Worry isn't protection. It's sabotage in disguise. We believe that if we think about our desires constantly, if we analyze every detail, if we hold them tightly in our minds, we'll keep them safe. But in truth, the tighter we cling, the faster they slip away. Have you felt this before? You imagine your dream home, a life of peace, financial freedom, or a love that feels destined. For a moment, it feels so real, so close, that you could almost step into it. You can see it, sense it, nearly touch it. And then, somehow, it fades, like smoke dissolving into the air, like a dream that vanishes the instant you open your eyes. Your mind begins whispering, maybe this isn't meant for me. Maybe I was foolish to believe. Maybe manifestation doesn't work after all. But the truth is softer and more profound. Your desire did not fail. It collapsed. It experienced what I call manifestation collapse. Manifestation collapse isn't rejection. It isn't punishment. It isn't proof that the universe ignored you. Collapse is feedback, a subtle message that says, hold steady, trust deeper, stop interfering, and allow me to lock this reality into place for you. This is why so many people feel like their manifestations never arrive. They plant seeds, but they cannot bear the waiting. They dig them up every day, desperate to check for growth. And in doing so, they disturb the very process that would have brought their vision to life. Manifestation is nature at work. There is a season for planting, a season of silence, and a season of growth that cannot yet be seen from the surface. But when patience falters, when belief collapses, the energy that was forming begins to dissolve. Think of someone beginning to manifest love. At first, they are radiant with hope, glowing with the vibration of connection. But as weeks pass without meeting the one, their energy shifts. They think, maybe I'm not worthy of love. Maybe I'll always be alone. And in that instant, the soil that held their vision dries out. The tender seed of love struggles to grow. Or someone calling in abundance. They affirm wealth every morning. They visualize financial freedom. But when the bills arrive, panic takes over. Their vibration fractures. Their nervous system sends out the frequency of lack. And just like that, what was about to crystallize collapses back into probability. This is how collapse happens. Not because the universe is cruel. Not because your dreams are impossible. But because reality, in its earliest stages of forming, is fragile. It needs your steadiness. It needs you to hold the vibration long enough for it to solidify. Think of a candle's flame flickering in the wind. If you panic, blow on it, or try to shield it with trembling hands, you snuff it out. But if you calm yourself, close the door, create stillness, the flame grows stronger. It stabilizes. So the real question is not, why did my desire fail? The real question is, can I stay steady long enough for my reality to lock in? You are the observer who shapes the wave into form. You are the anchor that holds the ship in place. Manifestation collapse is not the end. It's an invitation. An invitation to strengthen your trust, to steady your energy, to wait with patience and faith. And once you learn this, the fear that your dreams will vanish transforms into a deeper knowing. They are not gone. They are waiting. Waiting for you to hold them steady until they crystallize into the life you've always sensed was possible. Think about how manifestation usually begins. At first, there's a spark. You catch a glimpse of what's possible. A new job, a soulmate, a shift in your health, a different way of living. The vision excites you. You feel it in your chest, alive in your imagination. You journal about it. You visualize it. You tell yourself, it's already mine. For a few days or maybe weeks, you're magnetic. You walk differently. You look at life differently. The dream feels so close, it's almost inevitable. And then, the silence. Reality doesn't shift as quickly as you hoped. The same bills arrive. The same empty bed greets you at night. The same daily grind wears on. Nothing looks different. at least on the surface. And in that stillness, doubt creeps in. You start asking, why hasn't it happened yet? Did I do something wrong? Am I blocking it somehow? So you begin to search for proof. Did the text come through? Did the opportunity show up? Did the universe send me a sign today? You scan your life like a detective, desperate for evidence. And when you don't see it, your energy shifts. What once felt like trust now feels like fear. This is the exact moment collapse begins. Because here's the truth. Manifestations are fragile in their earliest stages. They are like a frequency just beginning to broadcast. If you change the channel too often, you never hear the song. In the language of quantum physics, we might say that your desire exists in a field of probabilities. It is real, but not yet solid. It waits for observation, for stabilization. And when your attention flickers between belief and doubt, when your energy oscillates between trust and fear, you scatter the wave. The probability collapses. It's not punishment, it's physics. And it's psychology too. Neuroscience shows us that the brain is predictive. It expects the future to look like the past. So when you begin to imagine something radically different, your brain resists. It whispers, "This isn't safe. Stay with the familiar." That resistance creates tension. That tension sends out mixed signals, and the manifestation collapses. Carl Jung spoke to this when he said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Collapse happens because the unconscious still clings to the old reality, even as your conscious mind reaches for something new. The Stoics saw this too. They taught that control is an illusion, and that peace comes not from forcing outcomes, but from aligning with the natural flow of life. Collapse is what happens when you resist the silence between intention and outcome. You call the silence failure, and so your vibration falls apart. But what if the silence isn't absence? What if it's gestation? Think of a seed planted in the earth. You water it, give it sunlight, and wait. But in the first days, nothing appears. If you panic, if you dig it up to check for growth, you destroy it. The seed wasn't failing, it was incubating. Manifestation collapse is the digging. It is the impatience. It is the inability to trust what you cannot yet see. And yet, even this collapse is a teacher. It reveals where you still wobble. It shows you the exact places where trust has not yet taken root. It isn't the end of the journey. It's the mirror asking, will you hold steady, even when nothing seems to be happening? This is why so many people feel their dreams vanish. They weren't gone. They were simply waiting for steadiness, for the kind of energy that says, I don't need proof. I already know. And when you can embody that, that's when collapse transforms into crystallization. Here is the paradox. Manifestation is not about creating something from nothing. It is about aligning with what already exists in potential, and holding that alignment long enough for it to crystallize. When a desire collapses, it's rarely because the universe denied you. It's because your inner state was not yet stable enough to sustain it. The outer world reflects the inner. And if your vibration wavers, so too does the form of your reality. This is why collapse can feel so painful. You thought you were close. You felt it, touched it, believed in it. And yet, somewhere inside, the old patterns were still alive. They whispered doubts, fears, stories you've carried for years. And those whispers had power. You say, I want abundance, but your nervous system is braced for lack. You affirms, I want love, but your subconscious is still terrified of rejection. You declare, I want freedom, but deep inside, a part of you clings to the comfort of chains. Your conscious mind speaks one language, but your body and subconscious speak another. This split creates incoherence, and incoherence leads to collapse. Neuroscience confirms this. The body becomes addicted to familiar emotional states, stress, fear, worry, even if they hurt us. So when you try to move into a new vibration, your body resists. It drags you back into the known. Collapse is the body's way of saying, better the pain we know than the possibility we don't. But collapse is not failure. It's exposure. It shows you exactly where you are still divided. It's the flashlight revealing the cracks in your foundation so you can strengthen them. Carl Jung understood this. He wrote about the shadow, the hidden parts of ourselves that we deny, repress, or ignore. Until we integrate them, they run our lives from the background. Collapse happens when the shadow pulls the strings, when the unconscious says no, while your conscious says yes. The Stoics, too, saw the wisdom in this. They believed we suffer not from events, but from our judgments about them. Collapse is not in the silence itself, it's in the meaning you give it. If you label the waiting as absence, you create despair. If you label it as gestation, you create peace. And the truth is, life always moves in cycles: growth, stillness, flowering, decay. A dream collapsing does not mean it is dead. It may mean it is shifting, reforming, seeking a stronger foundation. Think of the stars. Even they collapse. They implode under their own weight, disappearing into darkness. But what looks like destruction is the beginning of something greater. A collapsing star births a supernova, scattering elements across the cosmos. Those elements become planets, oceans, life. Even collapse is creation in disguise. The same is true of your desires. When they seem to vanish, they are not gone. They are being reconfigured, redistributed, aligned with the version of you that can truly hold them. So perhaps the question is not, why did this collapse? But what is this collapse creating space for? Because the truth is this: your desires already exist. They are waiting for you in the field of potential. The universe is not testing you, punishing you, or withholding from you. It is simply asking, are you ready to stabilize this? Can you hold the vibration, not just for a moment, but as a way of being? When you answer yes, not with words but with steadiness, the collapse no longer frightens you. You see it for what it is: a necessary recalibration. A reminder that what you seek is already yours, if only you can align with it long enough to let it lock in. Imagine a sculptor standing before a massive block of marble. Day after day they strike the stone. Chips fall away. Dust clouds the air. At first, nothing recognizable emerges, only fragments, broken pieces scattered on the floor. To the untrained eye, it looks like destruction, like nothing is happening. But the sculptor knows. The form is already inside the stone. Every strike is revealing it. Collapse is what happens when you walk away too soon, when you see only the dust and mistake it for failure, never realizing the masterpiece was just beneath the surface. Or picture a river. You step into its current, ready to be carried downstream. At first, it feels effortless, but then the voice of doubt whispers, "What if this isn't the right direction? What if I lose control?" Fear rises and you reach for the rocks along the bank. You cling, you grasp, you try to hold yourself still. And in that grip, you stop moving. The river cannot carry you if you refuse to let go. Collapse is not the river failing. It is you holding on when you were meant to flow. Even the cosmos collapses. Stars burn bright for millions of years, then fold inward, devouring themselves. From a distance, it looks like death. But what appears as destruction is actually transformation. A collapsing star explodes into a supernova, scattering stardust across galaxies. That stardust becomes planets, oceans, trees, and eventually, us. Without collapse, there would be no creation. What looks like an ending is often the most powerful beginning. The same is true for your desires. When your dream home fades in your mind, when your relationship vision dissolves, when your sense of abundance crumbles, it feels like loss. But maybe it isn't gone. Maybe it is collapsing only to be reborn in a stronger, more aligned form. Like the star, your manifestation reforms itself, waiting for you to hold the frequency steady enough to welcome it into being. Think too of the mirror. When you stand before it, the reflection is instant. But if the mirror is fractured, the image distorts. Manifestation collapse is like a cracked mirror. It doesn't mean you are broken. It means your reflection is scattered. Your task is not to force the image into place, but to smooth the mirror, to bring coherence back to the reflection. Or consider the moon. Every month it waxes and wanes. Sometimes it glows full and luminous. Other times it shrinks to darkness. Yet never once do we doubt it will return. We trust the cycle. Collapse is like the new moon. Empty, invisible, quiet. But just as the moon always returns, so too can your manifestations. The darkness is not absence. It is part of the rhythm. You see, collapse is woven into the fabric of reality. It is the inhale before the exhale, the winter before the spring, the silence before the song. If you judge it too soon, you miss the miracle. So when your dreams seem to vanish, when the house fades like smoke or the stars of possibility scatter, ask yourself, is this truly the end? Or is it the pause, the silence, the collapsing star that will soon burst into brilliance? Because collapse is never final. It is only the universe rearranging itself. And if you can trust the process, if you can hold steady through the storm, you will discover that the collapse was never loss. It was preparation. It was alignment. It was the space being cleared for something even more luminous to arrive. There comes a moment when you realize collapse is not your enemy. Collapse is your teacher. It shows you exactly where your alignment is still fragile. The gift is not in avoiding collapse, but in learning how to move through it without losing yourself. The first shift is from grasping to allowing. When a desire begins to fade, the instinct is to cling tighter, to affirm louder, to visualize harder, to force the image back into place. But this is like trying to hold water in your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips away. True manifestation is not about control. It is about resonance. What belongs to you is drawn by your being, not your desperation. The second shift is from doubt to trust. When the silence comes, your mind invents stories. It's not working. I'm not worthy. It will never happen. These thoughts create static in the signal. Imagine a radio tuned to the perfect frequency. One turn of the dial, and the song dissolves into noise. Doubt is that static. Trust is the clear channel. Trust does not mean pretending you never waver. It means choosing, again and again, to tune back into the signal, no matter how often it fades. The third shift is from temporary emotion to embodied state. Manifestation doesn't lock in because of a single burst of belief. It stabilizes when the new frequency becomes your home. When you don't just visit abundance, you live there. When you don't just imagine love, you embody it in the way you speak, move, and treat yourself. You don't manifest by chasing. You manifest by becoming. The fourth shift is from separation to union. Collapse happens when your conscious mind wants one thing, but your subconscious resists. The work is not to suppress the resistance, but to integrate it, to bring the shadow into the light, to ask, what part of me is afraid of this desire? What part of me still believes it isn't safe? When you meet those parts with compassion, they no longer sabotage you. They join you, and in union, the energy stabilizes. The fifth shift is from impatience to timelessness. So often we strangle our desires with urgency. Why isn't it here yet? What am I doing wrong? But urgency is lack disguised as effort. It tells the universe, I don't believe it's coming unless it's here now. But timelessness says, it is inevitable. It already exists. I can rest because I know it's done. In timelessness, there is no collapse because there is no rush. Think of it like tending a garden. You plant the seed, water it, nurture the soil. Then comes a period where nothing seems to happen. Days, weeks, months of invisible growth beneath the surface. To the impatient eye, it looks like failure. But in truth, the seed is alive, expanding, pushing roots deep into the earth. Collapse is what happens when you dig up the seed too soon, trying to prove it's still there. Stability is what happens when you trust the soil, even when you can't yet see the sprout. So the invitation is this: stop trying to prevent collapse. Instead, learn how to breathe inside it. To see the fading image not as death, but as integration. To remember that the dream is not disappearing, it is anchoring itself into your reality. And in that remembering, you shift from force to flow, from panic to peace, from collapse to creation. Imagine for a moment what happens when you no longer fear collapse, when the fading image doesn't send you into panic, but into presence, when you see the silence not as rejection, but as gestation. Your entire experience of manifestation changes. Instead of chasing, you become magnetic. Instead of doubting, you become steady. Instead of breaking at the first sign of collapse, you learn to hold the frequency until reality has no choice but to match you. This is the shift from hoping to knowing, from wishing to being, from waiting to living as though the desire is already yours. And when you live this way, something remarkable happens. The universe bends to your coherence. The outer world reshapes itself around the inner clarity you embody. You begin to notice synchronicities appearing with ease, the conversation that opens a door, the opportunity that aligns perfectly, the relationship that feels like it was waiting for you. Life no longer feels like a random series of collapses and rebuilds, but a continuous unfolding, guided by your vibration. It's as if you finally learned the rhythm of the dance, no longer stumbling when the music pauses, no longer panicking when the lights flicker. You trust the beat, even in the silence. You trust the cycle, even in the stillness. And because of that trust, you move with grace, while others still grasp in the dark. This doesn't mean collapse will never come again. It will. The star still folds in on itself, the river still meets rocks, the moon still wanes, but now you meet collapse with open eyes. You breathe into it, you let it teach you where your foundations are weak, where your shadows are unacknowledged, where your trust is still thin. Collapse becomes a compass, not a curse. And in that moment, you stop fearing the disappearance of your dreams, because you realize they cannot disappear. They are as real as the starlight above you, as inevitable as the tides. They may shift form, they may pause, they may test your steadiness, but they are already yours in the field of potential. So the question is not, will it collapse again? The question is, will I hold the vibration this time, long enough for it to crystallize? This is your invitation. To stop letting collapse break you, to stop reading absence as rejection, to stop digging up the seed because you fear it's not growing. Instead, to stand steady, to embody the version of you who already lives the reality you seek, to become the one who does not chase but attracts, who does not force but flows, who does not collapse but creates. And as you step into this, you'll notice life shifting all around you. Relationships deepening, abundance flowing, peace radiating from your presence. You won't just manifest things, you'll manifest states of being. You'll manifest wholeness, freedom, expansion. And from that wholeness, the things will come too. Effortlessly, naturally, inevitably. So if you felt the sting of collapse, if you've watched your desires vanish just when they seemed closest, know this: you're not broken. The universe is not ignoring you. You are being invited into mastery, into steadiness, into the kind of alignment that no collapse can shake. Breathe that in, feel it, and carry it with you. And if this message resonated with you, I invite you to stay connected, not for the algorithm, but for your alignment. Subscribe, share, or simply return when you need to remember. Because your dreams are not slipping away. They are stabilizing. They are waiting. They are already yours.